in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. Hope you had a good weekend. Here with Josh and Paul and Tim Restel. He is the president of the Yard Goats, Connecticut's professional baseball team, and we're getting back to baseball. We'll talk about that in just a minute. First, the COVID, not daily summary, but it's since going back since Friday. I think the good news you see on this chart is that unlike Michigan, unlike Idaho, unlike some places where there could be a bit of a spike as they've seen, not in Connecticut, not in our region. We continue to have a positivity rate, less than 3%, lowest that we've been now in a month on the 7-day average. Hospitalizations are pretty stable. Fatalities, tragically, you can see we surpassed 8,000 deaths. 8,000 deaths over the last year. Next up, but we're doing relatively well and flattening the curve when it comes to infections, when it comes to hospitalizations and fatalities, because people are getting vaccinated. We're doing very well in that front. You probably saw the United States was celebrating, yesterday that over 50% of their our adults, had been vaccinated. Well, our adults in Connecticut is not 50%, it's 61%. All of you have had at least your first dose, all of you over the age of 18. That's extraordinary good news. 65 and above, they're the champion age group. 88% have been vaccinated. Gives you some confidence that if we can move those other numbers up for the 18 to a 44-year-old age group, we will have herd immunity and be back to a really great summer. And so far, the numbers look good. You know, Josh has told me some of the mobile vaccination vans, they have some extra vaccines at the end of the day. It's worth checking. It's worth stopping by. There are same-day appointments. You can go online and you'll find there are appointments available. You may have to hunt and peck depending on where you are, but there is more capacity now, and here's your chance to get vaccinated. That means we have to work a little harder to make sure each and every one of you gets vaccinated, and that's why we have a partnership with 144 community partner organizations doing outreach, knocking on doors. We have the LEAP organization. They're knocking on doors, telling you to get vaccinated, how to get vaccinated, bringing vaccines for those who are homebound, also telling people about the summer camps and other programs going forward. Working with the large not-for-profits, Red Cross, Salvation Army, community centers, faith-based organizations. I love the front page of the Hartford Current today about two sisters, Muslim sisters. Headline was, "They trust me." You have to have trusted advocates going out to the Muslim community and getting people vaccinated. Young sisters take the lead is the headline. Thank you for what you're doing. Our mobile vans continue to bring the vaccine to you. And you can see here 10 mobile clinic destinations, Hartford, Bridgeport, New Haven, New Britain, Waterford, East Hartford. And you say, hey, these are all the big cities. Well, these are where we have a lot of socially vulnerable populations. Really important we bring the vaccine there. And we've been to an additional 26 smaller towns, really making sure that we get the vaccine to you. This chart, an eye chart, I appreciate it, gives you an idea where the vaccination mobile vans have been. Again, the Naugatuck Valley, you can see that a little bit, in and around New London, Norwich. But we're making pretty good progress. You don't need an appointment. You can just stop in. And if you don't want to find out when the van's going to be in your area, just contact your first selectman. Go to the mayor's website. You'll be able to find out there. So that all leads us to our business restrictions and continuing to slowly, cautiously, and safely reopen our economy. And that started on May 20th last year, we did for outdoor dining. So now, starting May 1st, which I think is a week from Saturday, a couple of things. One, we have an 11 o'clock curfew, move that back a little bit to midnight, gives restaurants an opportunity for second seating, which they greatly appreciate. Makes us parallel with what's going on in New York State, certain symmetry there. and outdoor restrictions lifted. Alcohol without food allowed. That sounds a little like a bar where you can sit, have a drink without necessarily having to have a meal right now. Strongly recommend being outside. I think May 1st, you're going to find it a lot warmer, being able to do that outside. And no table size limit. We were, capped at 8. We're going to lift that as well. Continue to be cautious with the mask. Obviously, if you're having a cool frosty, you don't have to wear a mask. If you're able to socially distance, you don't have to wear a mask outside. But otherwise, stay cautious on that. And then moving forward a few weeks to May 19th. At that point, we're going to essentially end all the remaining business restrictions. And what does that mean? That means the social distancing will be relaxed. It'll be guidance. It'll be up to you and your restaurant how you want to do it. Keep people safe, but no mandates from us. The curfew, we'll lift that then 12 o'clock curfew. Use your discretion from there. Gathering sizes. We have limits on gathering sizes, indoors and outdoors. Outdoors is 100. That's going to, we'll relax that. There won't be any gathering size limitations after May 19th. And movie theaters, right now they're capped at 50%. They'll be 100%. And at that point, I think there won't be any requirements regarding masks outside. We still strongly recommend wearing the mask inside unless you've been vaccinated. We'll find some balance there that makes pretty good sense. I think these are all ways that we have earned the right to get back to our new normal. And I think you see on May 1st, there's going to be a little more outside fun, which I appreciate as long as we're careful. And on May 19th, we're, back to our new normal. With that, let me just say the Yard Goat Stadium has been a vaccination center for some months. They've been incredible community supporters for us, the Yard Goats and stadium. And pretty soon, May 11th, I think it is, Tim, going to start playing baseball. And Tim's here to tell you a little bit about what that means, why I'm so proud that we've been doing the vaccinations. We've earned the right to a live baseball game in person. I plan to be there. Tim?
Governor, thank you. Well, as someone that watches this every week, and as a father and as a husband and a son and an employee in a company, I'm excited to be here today and to hear this news. It's the Yard Goats. We've always said it's been more than baseball. And about 12 weeks ago, the city of Hartford had reached out to us and said, can you host a vaccination site at the ballpark? And we said, absolutely yes. And it's been a great process. It's been a team effort. And it's taking our staff, the city of Hartford, and everyone involved to be able to help us get back to this phase. So I can't stress how important it is to be able to get vaccinations and get back to a new normal. It's, when May 11th comes around and that first pitch is thrown, it'll be 621 days since the last time the Yard Goats had taken the field. So here at Dunkin' Donuts Park, we are preparing for fans to come back into the ballpark. We put our tickets on sale next week for individual tickets, and we're excited to welcome everyone back to our home to be able to, cheer on the Yard Goats, see the shots in the arms going on, and also getting shots outside the ballpark. So thank you so much for having me here today, and it's an exciting time.
Thanks, Tim. Leave that up for 1 second. Steam Burgers, Hartford. I love that in the background. We've been fussing about pizza. What's our state food? Steam Burgers, that's ours. We should remember that. And the Hartford Yard Goats. No goats, no glory. All right, let's take your questions.
NBC Connecticut.
Happy Monday, everyone. Governor, regarding the loosening of restrictions from May 19th, I just want to be clear on this. So all restrictions go away, save the indoor masking, no mandates, just recommendations. So as in bars and clubs can open indoors with no capacity, Yard Goat Stadium can open to full capacity?
That's right. I think we're going to mandate that you continue to wear the mask in school through the end of the school year. It gives students and teachers and parents confidence there. I'll have a discussion with the legislature about that. And probably we're going to require indoor masking a little bit longer unless you're vaccinated in, crowded public places. But that's it.
And in terms of vaccinations, how would that go about? Like, do people need to be vaccinated to go to a Yard Goats game? Is there any sort of requirements on that end that's been discussed?
No, there are no requirements on that. Different venues may have their own rules, but there are no requirements there.
And then, days after the J&J pause, Hartford had noticed a lower amount of walk-ins at one of their pop-up clinics. Are you noticing that around the state? And then also just wondering what's the latest with the J&J news as well?
We are noticing a little less demand on some of our mobile vans, as I said before. That may be because we're supply and demand or a new mix, maybe a little bit of hesitancy related to J&J. I think J&J, I just heard Dr. Fauci, like everybody else, he expects a decision probably by Friday, certainly this week, I hope.
Thank you so much.
Fox 61.
Hello, Governor. Quick question for you. We announced today that, we are expecting students to be back on campus in the fall. We just heard from Wesleyan last week, Yale this week, that they are going to be mandating that students who go to campus get vaccinated. Do you see Connecticut as, with our public universities making any of those mandates?
Not yet, Amanda. You know me. I just said we got 88% of our people in the older age group vaccinated. If we could do this on a voluntary basis, we will. But if we can't, we'll have to make up our mind on that a little bit later this summer.
Thank you. And one other question for you, a little off topic. We just heard about the 19-year-old being arrested in that awful case where the 3-year-old died in Hartford. There have been calls to your office and just, with state leaders to get more funding for violence prevention programs, some specifically targeting youth. What do you think as a state we can do to, I don't want to say completely solve this problem because who knows if it can be completely solved, but do things to help this process?
Yeah, Amanda, we provided significant funding for our not-for-profits like Project Longevity down in New Haven over the course of the last year, and we are going to double down on our efforts there. We're going to do everything we can to make sure you have the services, the wraparound service, along with the police protection to do everything we can to keep you safe.
Thank you.
NBC Connecticut. News 12 Connecticut.
Good afternoon, Governor. Since people under 16 won't be vaccinated, but their parents and older siblings will be, are you going to suggest that if they're at a business or at an event that masking is more important for the non-vaccinated younger set?
I would urge them to be cautious, absolutely. Maybe they don't suffer particular complications from COVID, but they can certainly transmit it and potentially infect others. And I'm going to do everything we can. We got to limit the infection because every time there's another infection, there's another chance for a variant. So we're going to watch that very carefully.
And do you have specific goals with this latest set of business restrictions being lifted? And is there any portions of it that give you the most concern or want for caution?
Yeah, when you have drinking outdoors and without much of a curfew, there's room for a less careful behavior. But I really think this is the time we can do this. I think we can do it safely. And because we're doing it outdoors, I have a great deal of confidence. We're going to be in May. I think it'll be really comfortable to be outdoors and safe to be outdoors.
And last question, do you think that when all of a sudden people are able to do things they haven't been able to do in a year or more, do you worry that there'll be almost like a rebound effect, and do you have contingencies in place for that?
I don't know. You pay me to worry, so I guess I worry about a lot of this, but I've looked around the rest of the country. I think we're going to be able to manage this. I think we're able to manage it because it's outside. But obviously what we want to do on May 1st and what we want to do on May 19th is subject to looking at the numbers, looking at the infection rates in particular, and looking at hospitalizations. But so far, over the last month, 2 months, we've been going in a good direction.
Thank you.
Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
Yes, Governor, just kind of following up on that question. I think a lot of us were looking at states like Texas and Florida because they were one of the first to really relax their restrictions. As you were looking at the progress that was happening there, did you see anything that kind of gave you hope when making your decision about our state?
Outside. I think an outside culture is relatively safer than being indoors. I think we had a spike, Thanksgiving, Christmas, January. That's not as much a risk in those warmer cultures like Texas and Florida. Now we're going to be May 1st. I think outside gives us some confidence, a little like last year.
And Governor, talking about Texas, they're seeing a 5% increase in cases since April 1st. Should we expect a similar bump, not necessarily a spike, but a bump as we further our reopening?
I don't think so. Obviously, we're going to watch it like a hawk, and I don't have a crystal ball. But I like to think we're opening cautiously. Look, they tore off the mask. They said let it rip. They gave people a certain disregard for the protocols. We're not doing that. We're saying I think we've earned May 1st as a time we can be outside and have a cool frosty with some friends around a table. And let's see how it goes. Assuming it goes well, May 19th, we can open up some more.
Thank you.
WTIC 1080 News.
Hi, what's the latest from the feds on Johnson & Johnson?
What little I know is what I heard from Dr. Fauci, which is they're continuing to look at it, this very narrow subset of people that maybe have a 1 in a million chance of the blood clot. And they're probably going to make a determination about getting it back on the market and available probably by the end of this week.
Josh, you have anything new on that as far as the numbers?
Nope, just what the governor said.
And Tim, the May 19th plans for lifting business restrictions, does that change the plans you announced last week for selling tickets in pods of 6 and social distance and all that?
It does. We will, with opening on May 11th, we will, continue with the pod selling through till the 19th. And then at that point, we will open up the sections of the ballpark for individual ticket buyers.
So back to sellouts after May 19th.
Absolutely.
News 8.
Good afternoon. Governor, some of the things that you talked about right from the start, 61% adults with at least one vaccine compared to 50% around the country. You had talked from the beginning, from last year, about science dictating a lot. And it seems like the science, in a lot of ways, has dictated what you've announced today. Is there also an element, whether it's from the CDC or elsewhere, a bit of forecasting, whether it be looking at what's happened in Europe already, or is forecasting the ability to look ahead and predict also part of this?
I think so. I think the vaccines are working. I think we're getting about 10% every week of the younger demographic vaccinated. So by May 1st, you're going to see a lot more people vaccinated. You mentioned what we see in Europe. I focus a little more on Britain and Israel, where a higher percentage of their people are vaccinated, and they've been able to reopen safely. I'm afraid France, Germany, and Italy are in a very different situation, in part because they're not getting vaccinated.
You also, someone asked you also about with respect to colleges, and the fact that you're not asking people to or mandating that they have the vaccine before going back, is part of that to remain consistent with the other things that were announced today?
I've generally shied away from mandates in areas like this. We're taking the mobile vaccination van to every single college and make sure those kids at least get their first shot before they go home. I sent a letter to every other governor and said, I hope you do the same thing. I don't need kids going back and forth from college as a super spreader event. And I think we're going to know by July whether young people are getting vaccinated in numbers that mean we don't have to require it. If that's not the case, we'll take a second look.
And for Tim, if I may, Tim, this is Rich Coppola. Tim, it's been just an unbelievable success in so many ways since the first game, when the park opened. How much, beginning on the 19th now, when you get into your schedule, there won't be, I'm assuming now, any restrictions in terms of 50% capacity, 75% capacity. It'll be capacity?
Yeah, there'll be some areas that we've blocked off for player access because the players will be on the field, but it will be back to capacity at the ballpark. We will still have additional hand sanitizers. Our health and safety protocols will be in place where we're doing touchless ordering. We'll be all the cleaning extra